All right, great pleasure to be here today, and very excited to see all these folks in the audience. And thank you so much for the introduction, Mohammed. I am a Canadian. I'm here representing Sonic Incytes, and we are commercializing in the U.S. So a bit about Sonic Incytes. So at Sonic Incytes, we're the developers of VeloCore, the first handheld 3D liver health assessment tool. We believe in providing accessibility, affordability in diagnostic solutions with health insights you can count on for better patient outcomes. So the inception of the company started back in 2016. At that time, my uncle was diagnosed with liver cancer. Unfortunately, he passed away because he was diagnosed late. A few months afterwards, a good friend of mine, his little brother, which I helped grow up back in when I was in high school, was diagnosed with NASH. Didn't know much about NASH. NASH is non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, fatty liver disease, common term. Fortunately, he was diagnosed early, 32-year-old, diabetic, but skinny fat Asian. But fortunately, with our solution and early intervention, he has managed his disease. So that kind of serves as the what can we do better in delivery of solutions to provide better early detection and better management of those patients who have chronic disease. And we're starting off with fatty liver disease. So a bit about the disease itself as our first entry point into the market. It starts off with a deposition of fat. And the body actually attacks that fat, causing inflammation, and then the end result, fibrosis. So you have NASH, which I referred to before as fatty liver disease. 27 million Americans will have disease. Overall, early and late stage, it's 100 million Americans, so it's 1 in 3 will have disease overall. And you want to really prevent escalation or progression because that leads to cirrhosis, liver transplant, because you need to treat the cirrhosis at some point, and it can also go into cancer. So that's the irreversible stage of disease. So really you want to prevent that. We're focused on managing patients and detecting early onset disease in the 100 million Americans that have the active form of NASH and NFL. So we implement or integrate with all sorts of interventions, both digital, lifestyle, and drug therapies. We're working with some leading companies in digital and also drug therapies as about detecting and managing those patients. So our solution is a handheld solution, which Mohammed mentioned, which is ultrasound. And it's not only limited to this opportunity in the US, it's a global phenomenon. 1 in 4 people have it globally. Growth drivers, diabetes, obesity, sedentary, and there's no good tools available until now. And that's where we come in, ultimately. So looking at the landscape here, just to give you a bit of a sense of, there's blood markers, which are more qualitative, give you a sense of, okay, you've got some disease, but it's a 50% false negative rate. Imaging, ultrasound elastography, you're relying on radiology sonography. There's technical limitations, not really a scalable solution. FibroScan, better. It's a blind measurement, but still technical limitations, meaning you can't measure obesity or people that are bigger or body types that are more difficult to measure. And it's inclusive for a lot of different imaging technologies. Biopsy, MRI, great tools, but really not suitable for practice. And that was served as the genesis of our solution, VeloCore, velocity, accuracy, intelligent liver scan. So we are the first handheld tool, leveraging upon point-of-care handheld ultrasound, but taking the principles of what you do with MRI elastography, but putting it into the accessible, affordable, ubiquitous handheld ultrasound. We received our 510K last year. We released it in the market end of last year, and we are going back into market now with vaccinations ramping up. We are generating revenue in the hepatology and GI space as our first entry point. Again, accuracy as MRI, accessible as and affordable as point-of-care ultrasound, and ease of use we can delegate to an MA. It can be performed in as little as 5 minutes, so integrates well within practice and is scalable. So in terms of how the procedure is performed, quite simple. You have a patient which sits on the activation pad, small little vibration pad. You have the handheld ultrasound, which has an AI component, and you just take a quick sweep, and then you have real-time quantification of the properties of tissue. It can be applied for different tissue, and we're just starting off with liver. So the outputs are this. You can see here very simply, elasticity attenuation. So market, again, we're going into NASH, which is serviced by specialty, $1 billion, then going into NFL, going into the primary care, another billion, $2 billion market opportunity in the US. We've got lots of traction in market. As I mentioned, we are revenue generating. We have over 25 pilots and installs in the US with top providers in the GI hepatology space. We're also going into the private practice, group practices of GI, installing our system in practice and training people all within a day, MAs predominantly, and then going into nationwide itself expansion as part of our next round of financing. In terms of revenue, how we generate, we're different because we are service, SaaS, small upfront fee, monthly subscription, and a throwaway consumable. And thus far, we expect to close on 54,000 one-time MRR of 28 and about $1 million of total contract value by the end of Q2, and total revenue for the 2021 will be $1 million itself for the year, and 54 customers, and more. So today we're here at LSI Summit raising our Series A. We have commitments already for our Series A. We're doing a minimum of $5 million US to help accelerate our US commercialization, and also to go for a FDA breakthrough status for the indication of NASH itself, which is our first indication before we expand into other indications. We've assembled a great team shown here. I'm a serial medtech entrepreneur. This is my third startup, successful exit. We also have great tech founders, developers in ultrasound commercialization with Brian and Joseph, and also have added Jeff Haar, formerly at Diversitech at FibroScan, who was instrumental in the commercialization, and have a strong board from Deputy Surgeon General to other tech CEOs. Pleasure to be here. Great to have any questions in the presentation room afterwards. Thank you for the time.